In today's video, I'm going to be demonstrating how I'm starting some seeds. Today we'll be featuring some pepper seeds that need to be started fairly early because they take a little while to get germinated and so on. So you'll see firsthand here what I'm using and what has worked for me. In fact, this product I used last year, and I'm going to tell you more about that in this video. Okay, so if you follow my garden, you will have seen these little cloth bags that I've been using. I first started using these in 2020. They worked great, they really do. The only problem I have with them is they're marketed as biodegradable. However, I started seeds in these and actually planted, specifically I'm thinking of the tomato plants that I planted. These worked great. I did not have to keep changing containers because you can fold it and it just works really great. However, I actually put the bag in the soil with the starter plant in it, and by the end of the season it had not broke down at all. In fact, I was able to pull the bag out of the ground after the tomato had produced a large harvest. You'll have a lot of roots that come out of the bag that just kind of grow out of the bag, which is really nice about these. So you don't get, a bunch of stunted roots and things like that. But basically what it did was I was able to, after a full season of growing a tomato plant specifically in the ground with this bag, I pulled this out of the ground and pulled the soil out and the roots that were breaking down in autumn. And I actually washed the bag up, not this particular bag, but I washed the bag and I was able to use the bag again. Now I've only had these a couple years, so I don't know how many years I would get out of one bag, but I actually thought that was pretty cool that you could do that with such a plant. So with that in mind, today I'm going to go ahead and show you how I use these to plant up or start pepper seeds, and I'll grow the pepper plant in this bag until it's time to put it out in the garden or in the container or wherever I end up growing it. For the pepper, I'm actually going to fold this about halfway down for the seedlings and just kind of open it up like a little container, right? And then now I'm going to add my seed starting mix into this. All right, so I want to note what I've got laid out here, which is really handy to have everything ready to go when it's time to plant the seeds. I basically have my seed starting mix here. This is a new little scoop I'm using to put the soil into the little baggies. This thing is awesome, and I'll share a link to where this came from. Actually, I found it on Amazon, so that's cool. Along with the baggies, the little these are actually called seed nursery bags is what they call them. They're fabric seed starting bags. Okay, then I also invested in a bunch of these tags. They're very flexible. They actually remind me a lot of like a heavy plastic, almost like a blind material the blinds are made out of, but I've used these for 2 years now, and with a Sharpie pen it actually holds up pretty good in the full sun, so I have those ready to go. For small seeds, I've got a nice new pair of tweezers. Tweezers are awesome to use to get your seeds. Use a good marker like the Sharpie. This is a fine point one. I really like this one. And then have a container ready that you're going to put your seeds in. Preferably, definitely use a container that does not have holes in the bottom. I actually use, these are larger mushroom trays from the produce section. Just wash it up and use it for starting your seeds. All right, so here we go. We're going to go ahead and we're going to fill 6 of these little bags with the potting soil mix. These are super handy. There we go, right like that. Now you notice this potting soil mix right now is kind of dry, but we're gonna get it wet before putting the seeds in it. Once once we have all the little baggies ready to go. Oops. Oops. All right, so there we go. We've got the little baggies filled with the soil. Not quite halfway up, but not too bad. Actually, that one might need a little bit more. This is what I love about the little scoop. It's so easy to just get right in there. Usually I would try to pinch the soil into the bag and things like that, but this is awesome. All right, so there it is. Now what we're gonna end up doing, because these little bags have kind of a flat or a seam to them, what I'm gonna do is just kind of push down on it a little bit where it will kind of sit up like a little bag, just like that. Okay, now I'm gonna take water and we're just gonna moisten the soil. This is water you would use to water your plants. I don't like using tap water because it's got all kinds of things in it if you have city water. There we go. Now you can't really tell that it's wet because, well, yeah, you can. Look, there's water in there. The cool thing about these bags are it will actually drain through to the bottom of this container. That's why it's important to use a container that doesn't have holes in it. So you can let that sit just for a little bit or just go right ahead and start planting the seeds, which we're gonna do. Once these get going, I wanna note you're not gonna water from the top anymore in a container like this. You're actually gonna fill the bottom of the tray and water from the bottom once these little seedlings get going. Peppers can take a while. The soil needs to be warm, so I'm actually using a heating mat this year to help the germination go a little quicker. This is a really fun plant. This is actually a new one I grew last year. It's like a miniature, well, it is a miniature jalapeno. The plant stays really nice and compact. I mean, I had one that only maxed out at about 16 inches tall, and the harvest on it was amazing. In fact, we had a harvest all the way through into Christmas on the plant. The nice thing about the smaller plants is you can actually plant them in a container and take them in and protect them from the frost and snow and things like that. Especially in my zone, being zone 5B6, you know, it gets pretty cold and peppers don't like that and they're done for the year. So all we're gonna do is take and put a seed. Sometimes I like to put 2 seeds in these little containers because they're super easy to transplant if both of them take. Once they get up to about 3 inches or about 3 or 4 true leaves on them on the plant. But in this video, I'm just demonstrating how I plant them. So just carefully put your seed in each container. Like I said, you could do two seeds, 3 seeds, whatever you want. Seeds are cheap. Okay, so now we're gonna go ahead and you can see the little seed in there. We're gonna go ahead and take just a little dusting of that same seed starting mix right on top to cover that little seed. The really cool thing about starting plants from seeds, especially like peppers and tomatoes and things like that, is a lot of these different plants you don't normally find at garden centers, because you know, garden centers, let's face it, they can't have like every plant that's out there on the market. So it's kind of fun to be able to start your own seeds, especially things like peppers and tomatoes are super easy to start indoors early. They're pretty forgiving. They don't mind being abused a little bit, which usually happens to my plants. Okay, so as you can tell here, I put a little on top. And so that's the cool thing with seeds like these mini jalapenos. You wouldn't normally find these in a garden center, although I will admit I did see them in a couple of box stores last year, which was pretty cool. But you can usually find some really unique plants that you can start from seed. That's the benefit of starting from seed. Plus, I also think that they're just a stronger plant when you start them at home from seed, and the seed and the plant are used to the environment that they've been grown in from the beginning, as opposed to starting in a garden center, and whether it be shipped to you or you drive it home and you get it home and it's, you know, it's a different conditions than what it would find in a garden center with some plants. But anyhow, here we go. Now, you could go ahead and keep it in a container like this. If I was going to do that, I would probably have done 3 more in here just to make it a little tight, but not too tight. Now, what I like to do with this to kind of keep the heat in here is, I love this stuff. It is, they're reusable. It's a plastic. And I first saw this at a summer get-together. This plastic, I didn't even know there was such a thing like this. My sister-in-law was using it. She gave me some leftovers, and it's really cool. It reminds me of like a greenhouse covering almost, because it's actually called Press and Seal. I think I found this at Walmart or Kroger or somewhere locally. You can get it on Amazon as well. And it's really nice because you can just put it around the edge, making like a little greenhouse here. So just enough diffused light can get in there under my grow lights to get these seeds started. And you just kind of pinch it. I don't have to put a rubber band around it or anything to kind of keep it closed. Which is what I want to do, so it will keep the heat in there and keep getting that soil nice and warm, especially once I go and set this on my seed mat. Once the seed gets going, you want to check on this every now and then just to make sure it's not drying up. And in fact, I'm going to check on this in a couple of days once it gets going, because if you can tell at the bottom here, there's actually it's kind of hard to see. Let's see. There's actually some water in there, which is what you want, because you want to kind of create a humid, warm space. But now, as you notice, my soil isn't soggy wet for the peppers, which you don't want that, because then you're just inviting mold and pests, and too wet for that seed to get started. So there it is. Oh, actually, I forgot, is my little tags. Very, very, very important. Oh, I gotta do better with my tags this year, because once these little pepper plants get growing, and tomato plants, they all look the same. So you just want to take and mark your plants, put the tags on them like this, just put it on one side and then cover her up, and here we go. Another neat tray I've been using over the years are these larger this is salad containers that you can get at the produce section. I have recycled these for a couple years. These actually will last. This looks awesome. Look at all the moisture in there, but not too much moisture. What's helping with that is this year I actually am using a seed heat mat that's under here that I leave on during the day, just because the soil for the peppers likes to be, well, they like to be a little warm. That soil needs to be heated up, and that will help the germination speed up. All right, so here we go. Here's what it looks like. I just planted these a couple of days ago, so we're not gonna, if I had some green popping up already, that would be a miracle, but I don't yet. But as you can notice, the seeds actually, the little holders and the tags fit perfectly in these salad containers. And this is how I start them. Once they get growing good, these will end up going out to my greenhouse into the dome where it's nice and warm this time of year. But what you want to do is keep an eye on this and make sure that it does not go completely dry. You want to keep the soil and the conditions in there a little moist. You don't want it too dry until those seeds start popping. And there it is. Thanks for checking out my seed starting video today. You can find a complete list of the products mentioned here and other tips on starting seeds indoors over at my website, brenhaas.com. I hope to see you there.